Karen thought she could crush me with a $500 fine over 2 hours of trash cans, but I wasn't about to bow down. That single letter lit a fire that would burn our whole neighborhood's silence. Before we continue, please drop a like and comment below with your country and what time it is right now where you're watching. Whether it's sunrise in Australia, midnight in New York, afternoon in Canada, or evening in France, I want to know. Don't just sit back, tell me where in the world you are. Now, let's dive into the story. The envelope screamed in red, $500 fine. 2 hours of trash cans on the curb, that's all. On 910 Oxbow Key, in Dunwild, Oregon, humiliation arrived louder than the garbage truck's brakes. Randall Chestenvale, board president with a smile like a stapler, passed my porch. Rules are rules, Mr. Bracken. I'm 80. Rules used to protect me. Now they felt like handcuffs. My hands shook, not from age, but from anger. $500 is medicine, groceries, and heating oil. 2 hours became a month of sacrifice. I folded the letter very carefully. Neighbors stared at their lawns, not me. Shame is louder than sirens. I could hear my late wife, Leora, whisper, "Stand up straight, Jonah." I did, though my chest felt hollow. I remembered the factory floor, union chants, and fights I'd won. Inside me, a rusted engine fired. I tapped my cane and said aloud, "You picked the wrong old man." I called my daughter, "Yes." She gasped, then growled, "We appeal." My son called her, texted, "Pay it, did." Families break at the fault line between pride and fear. Mine trembled hard. I stared at the bylaws binder, dusty as forgotten bread. Section tabs stuck like old gum. I cracked it open, smelling paper and trouble. Whoever wrote this never hauled cans at 80. Sunset colored the letter blood orange. Somewhere, a dog barked, and a sprinkler hissed. The street looked clean, almost kind. But the ink on that paper crawled like ants under my skin. I whispered Leora's favorite dare, "Do the brave thing scared." My hands steadied. I circled the hearing date with trembling determination. Tomorrow, I'd climb their ladder and shake it hard. Then my phone buzzed again. A message from my sister, Odelia Pike. "Don't fight them alone. You remember what happened last time." I didn't want to remember. The past knocked anyway. Back when my hair was iron gray, not snow, I bought the little ranch on Oxbow Key. The agent called it Starter Charm. I called it Freedom with a Mortgage Tail. Odelia warned me at closing. HOAs smile with their teeth, Jonah. Watch the hands. She'd seen neighbors punished for windblown flags. I laughed then, proud fool, pocketing keys like trophies. The bylaws came in a blue binder, fatter than our town phone book. Community standards, Randall purred, already on the board. He handed cookies shaped like houses. I tasted butter and threat. My wife, Leora, saw through frosting. "Paper fences are taller than wood," she said, marking pages with sticky notes. She never picked fights, but she ironed armor into my shirts. Years rolled. Fines nipped ankles, grass a half-inch high, mailbox paint too matte, bicycle left visible. I paid some, argued some, chalked the rest up to suburban tolls. Then cancer took Leora. The house grew quiet enough to hear dust. Rules didn't bring casseroles. Randall's notices kept arriving, sterile, punctual, stamped. Grief made every envelope heavier. Calder moved to Tacoma, chasing tech dreams. Illis stayed nearby, teaching 4th grade on Persimmon Crest. Family stretched like taffy, sweet, fragile, distance clinging to our fingers. The community changed too. New roofs, pricier cars, stricter letters. People waved less, reported more. A neighbor once delivered banana bread and a complaint in the same visit. I chewed carefully. Still, I kept routines. Tuesday cans out at dawn, back by lunch. That morning, the clinic held me late. Blood work, pulse ox, a nurse who whispered, "You're strong," like a prayer. I returned to find the citation shining like a medal of shame. 2 hours. $500. And a note from Odelia, "Don't forget why we left Ash Quarry Court." I remembered ashes. We were young on Ash Quarry Court, in Brindle, Pennsylvania, where the HOA measured grass with rulers. Odelia lived 3 blocks over, where the board president jogged with a measuring tape. Back then, I led a union shift at Rook Limestone. We fought wage cuts with noisy courage. Management blinked first. Victory taught me something dangerous. Power isn't permanent if people stand. The Ash Quarry board hated standing people. We hosted a block picnic without pre-approved tablecloths. They fined us for unharmonious gingham. Leora laughed so hard she cried. The letter wasn't joking. We organized, polite and persistent. We asked for clarity, humane grace, fewer inspections. The board doubled patrols, wielding clipboards like swords. Someone slashed my tires. Officially, nobody saw a thing. Odelia's neighbor, Mara Vale, Randall's aunt, warned us, "You can win a vote, not a vendetta." We left Brindle with a cardboard sigh, vowing never again. Vows wrinkle when years get heavy. So Dunwild felt like a second chance. Slower rain, better coffee, neighbors who smiled, at first. Then the familiar creak of power returned, the binder thickening, the letters crisping monthly. This week, my clinic visit ran long. The cans lingered. The street looked normal. The sun was ordinary. But Randall's smile later glowed like a flashlight under a chin, monster story bright. I reread Section 8, Rule 4, escalating fines require community harm. 2 hours harmed nothing but his appetite. My pulse steadied. Words could be wrenches if I turned them right. I called Illis again. "We appeal Thursday." She said, "I'm bringing my students' debate club notes." I laughed. The child of a union man building arguments like Lego. Then Calder called. "Dad, please don't make waves. I can send money." I heard fear hiding in love. Behind that, something else clicked, an old grudge waking with Randall's name. The clubhouse on Alderspan Lane had carpets that swallowed footsteps. Lemon Cleaner hid panic. Randall sat center, flanked by Sable Morrow and Kellen Astor, faces calm as polished stones. I laid the letter on their table like evidence from a crime. 2 hours, I said. 500. My voice didn't tremble. 80 is a good age for fearless truth. Sable smiled politely. Consistency protects property values. Illis leaned forward, eyes bright. Consistency without compassion is cruelty. Her words landed like marbles, rolling under their chairs where balance couldn't reach. I cited Rule 4. Community harm. Kellen cleared his throat. Curb clutter affects buyer perception. I showed photos, empty street, sky wide as an apology. Buyer perception looked imaginary that morning. Randall's stapler smile tightened. "You've had prior warnings, Mr. Bracken." I nodded. "And you've had prior elections." The room inhaled. Power is a stage. Sometimes the audience remembers their lines. Illis presented signatures from neighbors tired of paper lashes. People aren't property values. They're hearts, refrigerators, and rent checks. Sable's pen stopped tapping. Kellen studied the carpet like it whispered. "We'll deliberate," Randall announced. We waited in folding chairs that pinched. My cane rested against my knee like a rifle. Odelia texted, "If they stonewall, use Mara's ledger." They returned with a smile that didn't reach policies. "Fine stands," Randall said. "Pay within 10 days." Illis' jaw set in iron. My anger cooled into something sharper than heat. I took the microphone for public comment. "Then I'll file to recall the board." Gasps fluttered like sparrows. Randall blinked, calculating. 10 days had just become a countdown for both of us. As we left, a neighbor pressed a folded paper into my palm. "You didn't hear it from me," she whispered, trembling. Inside was a photocopy, unauthorized fee schedule. The numbers screamed. At 27 Larkspur Pole, my kitchen lights hummed over a battlefield of papers. The photocopy listed administrative surcharges, feeding a reserve consulting fund managed by Randall's cousin, Peregrine Vale. Odelia arrived with a shoebox labeled Ash Quarry Ghosts. Inside were minutes, receipts, and Mara's handwritten notes. "Old fights teach new tricks," she said, laying history beside Dunwild's fresh wounds. We mapped patterns. Holiday weekends, surprise inspections. Elderly residents, higher fines. Single parents, quick escalations. The ledger wasn't an accident, it was a siphon. My coffee went cold, my resolve boiled. Illis highlighted bylaws violations in sunshine yellow. Open records request, she said. Public accounting. Calder called again, voice softer. If you do this, they'll come for you. I smiled small. Then they'll have to come through us. In my ears, the factory chant rose. One voice, one line, hold fast. Odelia's eyes shone. Families aren't perfect, they're strong. We canvassed Oxbow Key and Alderspan, doorbells like drum taps. People opened, embarrassed first, then furious. A nurse fined for a supportive yard sign. A widower dinged for curtain inconsistency. We scheduled a community meeting at Ember Fox Chapel. I printed flyers on my dying inkjet, the edges curled like tired fists. Randall posted counternotices warning of defamation liability. Night fell slow. Inside, I rehearsed words that had rusted in my throat. Leora's photo watched from the mantel, still teaching posture. Do the brave thing scared, I whispered again. I dreamt belts and pulleys, the factory floor, the rhythm of joined hands. Mornings smelled like rain, paper, determination. I tucked the ledger into a folder marked enough. Then, before sunrise, a truck idled outside. Headlights painted my curtains. A silhouette crossed my lawn, paused at my porch, and slipped something under the mat. My heart hammered like work whistles. Under the mat, an unmarked envelope. Inside, a printout of my mortgage balance, my clinic appointments, and a note, "Pay quietly, Jonah, or the neighborhood learns everything." The letters were clipped and cold. I carried it to Ember Fox Chapel, palms sweating. Inside, 50 neighbors gathered, faces tight as knots. I set the note on the table beside the ledger and met their eyes. Fear is their tool, I began. We have different ones, truth votes each other. I explained the surcharge scheme, the selective enforcement, the secret cousin fund. Murmurs lifted, then hardened into resolve. A mother named Bryony Thatch spoke. They find my son's wheelchair ramp as non-conforming. I sold jewelry to pay. Her words cracked the room. Sable in the back quietly looked away. We formed committees, recall petitions, legal review, door-to-door outreach. Calder walked in late, breathing fast, eyes wet. I'm in, he said. My son had crossed the fault line toward courage. We called for a special election under Bylaw 12. Kellen's signature appeared on the petition, hand shaky but present. People change when light finds them. I felt years shedding from my shoulders. Randall responded with glossy mailers. Preserve Dunwild excellence. Photos of perfect porches, smiling models. No mention of fines, ramps, or ledgers. He scheduled an information night to reframe truth as rumor. On those chapel steps, Illis squeezed my arm. You ready for a smear? I nodded. Let them smear. We'll be soap and water. The wind carried our flyers down Alderspan. As we locked up, my phone buzzed, a voicemail from Mara Vale. Jonah, bridge at Cormorant Hollow midnight, she whispered. Bring no one. Some stains require moonlight to see. I drove slowly, wipers clicking. The bridge rose from fog like a spine. A figure stepped forward, small, hunched, holding a heavy binder that looked older than the town. Mara's coat was too thin for night. Peregrine is Randall's shell, she said. Contracts route through me so he stays clean. I signed because family costs more than signatures until now. She opened the binder. Invoices, emails, checks with memo lines like confessions, expedite enforcement, perception management, holiday sweep bonuses. My stomach turned. Under moonlight, paper grows fangs you can't ignore. Take it, she whispered. End this before it ends us. I swallowed. Why now? She looked toward Dunwild. Because I remember Leora's casseroles when Randall's father died. We forgot how to neighbor. I tucked the binder under my coat. Tires hissed on distant pavement. The town slept, trusting the wrong people. Betrayal felt colder than rain and sharper than any printed notice. At home, I scanned every page. Illis built a timeline. Calder prepared a slideshow, Odelia drafted a statement kinder than my anger would have allowed. We were a family again. We sent copies to residents, the county ombudsman, and the local paper, the Dunwild Lark. Randall filed an emergency injunction, screaming, stolen property, into microphones that didn't love him back. Sable resigned quietly, citing health. Kellen asked to meet. He brought cookies that tasted like apology. I stopped seeing people, he admitted. Only paint colors and hedge lines. We nodded once. Election night moved closer, heavy as thunder. Randall doubled patrols, posting temporary rules about gatherings, chalk, and flyers. He could regulate chalk dust, but not breath, not spine, not vote. We rehearsed at Ember Fox. I practiced saying Leora's name without breaking. Courage is repetition. Grief learns to walk in straight lines when community holds its elbows. Then my doorbell rang. A process server handed me papers. Defamation, damages, costs. Randall suing me personally. My hands stopped shaking. I smiled. See you at the meeting, neighbor. Ember Fox Chapel overflowed. Old folding chairs complained like honest witnesses. The projector hummed. I stepped forward, heart steady, binder in hand, family beside me like bookends made of love. I spoke plain. I left my trash cans out 2 hours. They charged $500. That greed was not a mistake, it was a plan. Slides answered with receipts. Bryony described the ramp. A nurse, Renfallow, told of fines for a window box. An artist, Martin Quill, read a letter calling his porch aesthetic drift. Laughter cracked, then anger set. Kellen took the microphone. I failed you, he said, voice small. I believed we were protecting value. We were protecting power. Applause arrived like rain on a dry field. Randall marched in late, flanked by 2 lawyers. Lies, he announced. Stolen documents. Mara stood from the back, hands trembling. I gave them. I'm sorry. Something inside the room unchained itself. The vote opened. Ballots dropped like pebbles into a glass jar, each clink another neighbor returning to themselves. I slipped mine in and felt Leora squeeze my hand from somewhere good. Counting took forever and exactly 1 breath. People prayed, paced, or whispered recipes to keep from screaming. I watched Randall's jaw flutter like a curtain near a broken latch. The results were posted. Gasps then cheers. Randall removed. Board recalled. Interim committee formed. Bryony, Kellen, Ren, Odelia. Illis hugged me hard enough to reset bones that never set right. Randall's lawyers threatened appeals. The room sang over them. The security lights blinked. The night smelled like metal and wet leaves. My cane felt lighter than it had in years. Outside, Calder pointed toward my truck. The windshield glittered with fractured lines. A rock lay on the seat, wrapped in paper. You didn't win yet. I exhaled. Challenge accepted. We met daily at Ember Fox. New bylaws, plain language notices, grace periods, hardship waivers, actual neighbors helping neighbors. Fines became last resorts. Kindness became policy instead of accident. I suggested monthly porch circles. No agendas, just chairs and lemonade. People came. They stayed. They listened. The street softened. Dunwild stopped feeling like a proving ground and started resembling a home. We audited the reserve fund, returned surcharges, and hired an independent firm with no cousin discount. Mara testified publicly, paid penalties, then planted trees along Cormorant Hollow as a living sorry. Randall sued anyway. Court days smell like pencils and nerves. The judge frowned at the cousin contracts, the emergency rules, the intimidation notes. This looks less like governance, more like extraction. He dismissed Randall's suit with prejudice. Our countersuit proceeded. Randall's Cadillac disappeared from Oxbow Key. A realtor's sign grew in his yard like an honest weed. People watered it with glances. I visited Leora's resting place on Meridian Knoll. We didn't fix everything, I told the grass, but we changed the weather. Wind moved through the cedars like applause turned gentle. At home, I found an envelope without venom. Fine revoked. Apology issued. Inside, a check for $500 and an extra note. For the ramp. I smiled, thinking of Bryony's son. We drafted a trash grace window, 4 hours around pickup, longer for medical appointments. The policy read like human speech, not code for punishment. People cried at a rule. Imagine that. The Dunwild Lark ran a headline, "Neighbors Rewrite the Neighborhood." The reporter asked me for a quote. "We remembered we're people," I said. The rest followed. That night, a final letter arrived from Randall, "Meet me at the old clubhouse." One conversation. No lawyers. Illis frowned. Odelia sighed. I went anyway, because stories deserve endings. The clubhouse was dim, lemon cleaner fading. Randall stood by the window, smaller without his chair, without his choir of yes. He looked like a man finally hearing his own echo. "I wasn't always this way," he said. "My father believed rules kept grief away." I nodded. "My wife believed kindness did." We stood, two widowers, arguing ghosts more than policy. He handed me a plain envelope. "For the windshield." "From me, not the board." I didn't open it. "Keep your money," I said. "Bring donuts to the porch circle instead." He almost smiled. "I don't bake." "Store-bought counts," I answered. Silence learned a new shape between us. Less like a wall, more like a bridge someone might trust someday. Outside, Oxbow Keys smelled like sprinklers. Kids chalked galaxies on sidewalks the rules once forbade. Bryony's boy rolled down his ramp, faster, brighter. Mara watered young trees, forgiveness growing leaves. I set our cans at dawn, then sat on the porch and watched sun find the dents in their sides. Imperfect, useful, ordinary. Like neighbors, like families, like me. 2 hours passed before pickup. No letter came. A jaybird yelled at nothing and I laughed. You can measure lawns, you can't measure mercy. Our bylaws finally learned that math. I phoned Calder. "You were right to worry," I said. "And I was right to fight." He chuckled. "Sounds like family." We promised dinner on Persimmon Crest, promises that keep. I whispered to Leora, "We did the brave thing scared." The wind tugged the porch flag, gentle as a nod. My hands didn't shake. Not from fear. From relief. Remember this. A $500 fine for 2 hours of trash cans tried to break an old man. Instead, it built a neighborhood that refuses to break again. That is our revenge.